Howdy folks, back again for another video. This time I'm going to talk about two 3D prints that I've got. They were actually the second two that I did. One I'm going to talk about briefly because it doesn't really seem to be too relevant, and the for Digital Retribution as a predominantly horror engaged site. But the other one I'll get into a little bit. It seemed to be that people weren't interested in the printing times and things like that from the last video, so I'm not going to engage with that sort of stuff anymore. It's one of those things that just doesn't seem to be a real thing that people care about, because it really depends on what your settings are. And if I'm not sharing my settings and giving the time, well, it's not going to make a difference. Anyway, welcome to Digital Retribution. Okay, so essentially I have two here. So this is from two different companies. One of them is from a company called Wicked. Wicked have three sort of sub names. There's Wicked, Berserk, and SW3D. Wicked does mainly Marvel characters, some video game characters, and also some movie characters. And they do either busts or like full-size ones. Sorry, like, 1/6 scale, full Kahone size things of the characters. Berserk does the same, but with DC Comics, and they will have things like that they have like some other bits and pieces as well. They've done, if I remember correctly, they have done Karate Kid, and a few other bits and pieces. And finally, SW3D, Star Wars, and they do just Star Wars stuff. So when I first started on this 3D printing insanity, I was sort of tossing up between horror and comic characters. You can see a couple here, which I'll look at in future videos. But I really liked these ones. I don't know my right from my left. I really like these little ones from Julles Modelado. So the Wicked one that I did which was the first Wicked one that I did, was this one, which you'll have to excuse remember, these are ones that I did as my first ones, so I was inexperienced with 3D printing, and I wasn't quite sure what I was doing as far as cleaning up and settings and stuff like that. So I'll just flick over to the other. I'm not flicking over to the other scene because for some reason my mic isn't hooked up there. So that's not very good. So we're going to have to do it this way. So this is a She-Hulk one that I did. It was the second one I painted. I did something unusual with her in giving her freckles, and she's got like martial arts fighting gloves and stuff like that. It's a pretty cool model. As you can see on the costume line here, I haven't painted this properly because I was still sort of getting my hand back into painting properly. There's some, and I also was getting into other bits. She's really nice. So this isn't the full-size model. This is the bust of She-Hulk. I have a few issues with her, like a joint and where her hair is, which you can see just here. There's a couple of other bits and pieces of joins and just some places where I haven't sanded her properly. But I was still I had the 3D printers but hadn't bought a great deal of stuff. But I also decided to do something different. That was give her some freckles just for shits and gigs. I also don't think I was putting clear coats on the eyes at this point. So, yeah, so that's one from Wicked. I haven't done the model of her, the full-size model of her. I think she's fighting something back like that. But I've always liked She-Hulk. She's sort of my three favorite things are, like comic characters, monsters, which the Hulks are monsters. And finally, I like her because she's hot, even though she's not real. But yeah, so I've got a lot of She-Hulk statues, all of which are packed away because my 3D obsession has become a bit overwhelming in the background now, and I really, except for some Bishoujo horror ones here, pretty much everything is stuff that I've been doing on display now. But that's the She-Hulk one. That was from Wicked. I purchased that from Cults 3D. Cults 3D are an online retailer of STL files. I might actually call it up here for you and just flash what the screen looks like. So I don't think it's got any of my details on there. It does not. That's good. So here we go. So that's what Colts 3D looks like. And I purchased her from there along with the early Julles Modelado ones because I wasn't a Patreon member. And I can guarantee that being a Patreon member is certainly worth it. Like, for example, Wicked, which do this, it's a $16 $16 monthly fee, $16.50 maybe Australian, and you get about 19 models. And also, when you buy things through the Patreon, they'll give you a pretty good discount. But she, I think, is about $28 from Colts 3D. And the issue with that is also that she, what do you call it? You just look at it this way: 19 statues for $16.50, or one statue for $28. I don't know what your spending's like, but that seems to be worth it. I would rather get one statue and not worry about the rest of them, rather than pay $28 for one. So, and there's usually something pretty cool every month. I think, if I remember correctly, there's a Last of Us one coming. Anyway, that's the She-Hulk one that I did. I could probably repaint her now because I've got an airbrush, which I'm going to look at in a future video, and all the rest of it. But here's the one that I really wanted to look at. So this was my third ever print on my Bamboo A1. And this is now, if I remember correctly, my fingers have I haven't varnished or like put a spray coating on the bottom so you can see where the red filaments coming through, because I've been fingering it too much. But this guy is a Jason, unmasked Jason from, I think, part 7. I'm pretty sure it's part 7 when he gets his mask torn off and he's like, oh, my microphone decided to have a bit of a play there. This guy's pretty cool again. So I'll just turn him around slowly. I wish I had have set up the mic on the other one. As you can see, his if I can block my face so you can just see his, it might not work because it's not really a human looking face. But yeah, so I painted this one very carefully. This one I actually did discover the varnish thing, and so like the inside of his mouth and all the rest of it's covered in it, so he looks juicy, and his empty eye is juicy, and his full eye is juicy. A problem that I had with him was there was a lot of cleanup on him because I was still learning how to use the 3D printer. And so if you have a look at the back, down here, you can see that there's a lot of sort of schmegma. But yeah, so he's actually one of 3 of Julles Modelado's Jasons that I've got. There is another one it's the same one as this, but with a mask. Some people do like them as separate models, and some people will give you alternate heads. For example, I think a lot of the Marvel ones, if there's something that's got a helmet, there'll be an unhelmeted version as well from Wicked. So if you were to buy this from, I got this at like a half-yearly sale for about $16, but I think that they might be sort of a similar price from Colts. So if I'll just have a quick look and see if I can find it. Julles' sculpts are just phenomenally brilliant. I honestly, like, every time I get something of his and print it out, it blows my mind. The worst thing about a lot of his is the only thing wrong with his, I should say, not the worst thing, but the only thing wrong with his is the dude fucking painting him. So let's have a look. So to download this one, excuse me, is $32.92 at the moment. But Julles has got a shed load of stuff on his, and I'll flick over to there again. Yeah, so this Jason's actually 33. But yeah, he's got an absolute shed load of stuff. But what I'll also show you is that his Patreon, I'll just show you a bit of a scroll of his Patreon as well. Hopefully I won't get in trouble from him for doing this. But yeah, that's his Patreon. I'll put this down now. There's some really awesome shit that he's bringing out, and he doesn't just do like. So I've got like a tiny from House of a Thousand Corpses. I've got a half printed baby from House of a Thousand Corpses. I've got a Cropsy over here. I've got a nun that I've finished. I've got a half finished like started to paint Leatherface from Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2003. I've got one of those that's about to be painted. I've got a Leprechaun that I'm halfway through. I just printed out a My Bloody Valentine Minor. And the coolest thing is that I've got a Pennywise, but with his mouth wide open. And Julles has had the foresight to put a hole all the way through the model. And so you can put lights in there so it can do the thing that makes the people's eyes glaze over. The really cool thing that I like about this is that what I'm doing now is I've gone and bought a soldering iron and stuff like that, and I'm going to start looking at other things that I can perhaps light. I bought like a packet of about 20 little tiny lights just to see if I can sort of get into that sort of part of the hobby as well, and maybe start lighting some of these guys up, even if it just means that like with the baby one, she's standing in front of a Red Hot Pussy Lickers sign, and I'd like to maybe like stick like a little spotlight, like find someone who's got a small spotlight and have a spotlight on the sign. But just for something different to do as far as that sort of thing is concerned. Yeah, so it's a lot of fun doing these. Again, I really can't sort of express just how much fun it is, and it's actually like I'm learning new stuff with it all the time. Every time I'll go to YouTube and I'll question something. I had an issue with one of my printers because I've got 3 FDM printers, and I had an issue with one of them, and there's so many people who are prepared to share their knowledge, and it's really cool. And yeah, as you can see, like it's if you look behind me, if I just sort of move out of the way a little bit, there's like an absolute fucking shed load of them here now. But that's it. Thank you for watching. Only a sort of a short 10-minute doodle dad today. I'm going to try and do these a bit more regular. I'm really slack at this sort of stuff, so I'm going to try and allocate like a couple of minutes on Friday, every Friday night, to do this sort of stuff. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Like and subscribe. Check out the website, which is digitalretribution.com. There's about 400 movie reviews there. I'm trying to get back to doing movie reviewing, but I have a full-time job again, so it's making it a little bit hard because just sometimes I just want to watch a movie instead of think about how shit it is or how good it is. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time. See you guys.